You order a drink, you smile, you sip. But what if the real cocktail isn't just alcohol and ice? What if it's a formula designed not just to taste good, but to shape you, lower your guard, blur your judgment, rewrite your night? You think it's a personal choice, a bit of fun, a way to relax. But behind the bar, something deeper is happening. Cocktail culture didn't rise naturally. It was engineered, branded, marketed, repeated, until we all believed it meant celebration, connection, sophistication. But what if it actually means submission? Let's start with this. Why do most signature cocktails have sugar, citrus, and hard liquor combined? Because sugar spikes dopamine. Citrus distracts your senses. And the liquor, it takes the wheel. It's not just a drink, it's chemistry on your brain. And who knew this first? Not the bartender, not the brand, but the people who studied behavior. Because if I can alter your mood, I can influence your choice. If I can shift your rhythm, I can insert ideas. And if I can make you forget, I can make you repeat. So here's a question. When you order your favorite drink, is it really your favorite, or did someone decide it should be? You didn't inherit cocktail culture, you were sold it. In the 1920s, cocktails were for rebels. Prohibition made them dangerous, sexy, underground. Then the ban lifted, and suddenly the industry needed to rebrand rebellion. So they got to work. They hired designers, writers, psychologists, color theorists, and marketers who knew one thing. If they could make you associate cocktails with class, you'd pay for your own control. And it worked. They wrapped the glass in elegance. They gave it names like Manhattan, Cosmopolitan, Whiskey Sour. They trained you, without saying it, to believe a real man knows his drink. A classy woman orders wine. A celebration isn't complete without a toast. A date isn't serious without shared cocktails. And being the only one not drinking means you're broken. But ask yourself, why is alcohol the only drug where saying no makes you suspicious? Because it's not about alcohol, it's about conformity. They don't care what's in your glass. They care that you're drinking with the group. Because when everyone's tipsy, everyone's easier to steer. That's why bars are structured the way they are. Loud music drowns self-reflection, dim lights, lower inhibition, tall tables, less grounded, crowded rooms, overstimulated choices. Now layer on your cocktail, sweet, acidic, bitter, and strong. You're overloaded, you're spinning, you're off-center, and that's exactly where they want you. Because in that moment, you don't think clearly, you follow impulse, and you won't remember most of it tomorrow. That's not freedom, that's soft programming. And the best part, you pay for it yourself, every single round. Let's go beyond alcohol, because the glass you hold, it's not just liquor, it's a chemical ritual. Ever wonder why most cocktails are brightly colored, overly sweet, or garnished just right? That's not art, that's distraction. Most commercial liquors contain additives that don't show up on the label, artificial colors that influence your perception and memory, sweeteners that spike dopamine and keep you drinking, flavor agents designed to numb your taste buds and your gut instinct, preservatives that extend shelf life but shorten your inner stillness. Even the glassware plays a role. The sleek martini glass, it spills easily, forces you to sip fast. The highball keeps you upright and cool. The tumbler, heavy in hand, grounding, but often paired with the strongest mixes. It's not random, it's all coded. And then there's what bartenders never say, that some mixers interact with meds, that citrus can spike anxiety in certain nervous systems, that bitters, often herbal, can disrupt the gut-brain axis if overused. They're not trained to tell you that. They're trained to make you come back. This isn't about demonizing every drink. It's about realizing that your drink was never neutral. It was a message in a bottle, but not one you wrote. So the next time you raise a glass, ask yourself, are you drinking for pleasure or are you being played? If this is opening something in you, subscribe and hit the bell, not out of habit, but out of awareness. This channel isn't for escape, it's for remembering. We've been taught that alcohol helps us loosen up, let go, have a good time. But here's the truth they won't print on menus. Alcohol alters the way you remember. It doesn't just blur the night, it edits it. It weakens short-term memory, scrambles emotional associations, and delays the brain's ability to register consequences in real time. So when you're smiling and sipping, you may not actually be choosing, you're just reacting on a delay, in a haze. Now put that inside a bar. Low lighting, pulsing bass, social pressure, sexual tension, and you've got the perfect lab for manipulated perception. This isn't theory, it's neuroscience. Alcohol shrinks the hippocampus, the very part of your brain responsible for memory and spatial awareness. You know what that means? You can literally forget where you are, who you're with, and why you said yes. And when your perception gets hacked, your consent becomes murky. That flirty conversation, you don't recall the shift. That second round, you don't remember ordering it. That person next to you, you don't know how close they got, or when. This is how people wake up feeling confused, ashamed, or violated. Not because they're weak, but because the drink decided for them. Here's the worst part. You may carry trauma without memory. You may feel uneasy, but not know why. And society will say, don't be dramatic, it was just a drink. But it wasn't. It was a chemical interruption of your agency. And every time you laugh it off, you reinforce a system that teaches disconnection is fun, forgetting is freedom, being easy to influence is being social. But that's not social, that's programming. So next time someone says, just one more, remember, they're not handing you a drink. They're handing you permission to disappear from your own consciousness. The question is, will you take it? They're not just mixing drinks, they're reading you. Most people think bartenders just memorize recipes, but in high-end spots, clubs, and chains, bartenders are trained in something far more subtle: behavioral influence. They study micro-expressions, emotional mirroring, pacing and leading, vocal modulation, touch psychology, even strategic silence. Why? Because the better they read your mood, the better they can direct it. Let's break it down. You walk in, they scan you in seconds. Posture, eye contact, speed of movement. Are you anxious, confident, looking to impress someone? They adjust their energy accordingly, matching your vibe, then leading it. This technique is ancient. It's called rapport hijacking. Once they have your trust, they don't just serve you drinks, they serve you nudges. Want to try something stronger? This one's on the house, you'll love it. You seem like a whiskey person. Shots for the table? Group pressure triggers FOMO. Each phrase is coded. It bypasses your logic, feeds your ego, and ties your identity to your consumption. And guess what? The more you drink, the more predictable your responses become. Bartenders are also taught color psychology. Bright cocktails for extroverts, dark liquors for serious types. They're trained on gender biases. Make the guy feel alpha, make the girl feel seen. And in tourist-heavy spots, they even learn accent modulation to mimic familiarity. But here's the scariest part. In some training programs, they study inebriation curves, learning when your resistance drops, when your speech patterns change, and when to upsell. Not when you're sober, not when you're clear, but precisely when your guard drops. And that's not just salesmanship, that's soft control. You think you're having a good time. But what's really happening is this. You're being managed, smiled at, guided, poured into. And you'll walk out saying, wow, that bartender was amazing. And they were, at shaping your experience without your full awareness. So next time someone behind the bar seems so in tune with you, ask yourself, are they connected to your vibe, or are they trained to make you believe that? Follow the money, and you'll find the truth. The alcohol industry isn't just about nightlife, it's about daytime control. It generates over $1.6 trillion globally. It funds advertising empires. It lobbies governments. It buys silence. And what does it sell? Disconnection. You see, alcohol doesn't just dim your consciousness. It anchors you to a system that thrives on unconscious behavior. A system that needs you. Tired, but not questioning. Anxious, but not rebellious. Distracted, but not dangerous. Consuming, but not awakening. That's why alcohol is legal, and things like plant medicine, breath work, even lucid dreaming are sidelined, suppressed, mocked. Because those practices lead you inward. Alcohol leads you outward, into noise, confusion, loops. Here's the playbook. Media makes drinking sexy. Ads link it to status, sexuality, freedom. Movies show heroes drinking after killing villains as relief. Music videos make vodka look like power. Governments regulate it lightly. Why? Because taxing alcohol is one of the oldest, most stable income streams. But more than money, they get something bigger. A public that polices itself. Society does the rest. You're not told to drink. You're made to feel like an outsider if you don't. This is collective consent via cultural engineering, and it works flawlessly because alcohol sells the illusion of autonomy, sophistication, community, escape. But behind each illusion is a trap. Autonomy? You're chemically dependent. Sophistication? You're just following branding. Community? It's temporary. Escape? From what? Your own power. And here's the kicker. When you try to stop, the same system that sold you the poison shames you for struggling with it. It's a loop. You're encouraged to drink. You're blamed for addiction. You're offered low-efficiency help, then marketed more relief in liquid form. And all the while, you stay predictable, manageable, numb. Because a sober mind is unpredictable. It notices things, it questions systems, it wakes up. And that's dangerous, not to society, but to those who depend on your sleep. So ask yourself, what kind of system protects your right to drink, but censors your right to remember? You don't just drink alcohol. Alcohol drinks you, sip by sip, rewriting who you believe yourself to be. At first, it's social. You drink with friends, laugh more, loosen up. You're told you're more fun this way, so you drink again. But here's what no one tells you. The more often you drink in a specific mood, the more your brain wires that emotion to the act. Feeling anxious? Drink. Feeling celebratory? Drink. Feeling numb? Definitely drink. And your subconscious? It keeps recording. You're not just building memories, you're building a version of yourself that only exists in the presence of alcohol. Soon you start saying, I'm more confident after a few. I can't talk to people without a drink. I'm boring sober. I can't relax unless I drink. These aren't truths. They're downloaded identities, installed by repetition. And the brain? It's efficient. It doesn't ask if this pattern is healthy. It asks, is this familiar? And the familiar becomes you. So what happens over time? Your natural joy, muted. Your baseline energy, lowered. Your passions, numbed. Your instincts, silenced. Because every time you reach for the bottle instead of breathing through discomfort, you train your system. I can't handle myself without help. And then, you don't just crave the drink, you crave the person you become with the drink. But that person, they're not you. They're a version of you made for compliance, small talk, survival, not depth, not truth, not power. Real you? They're messy, raw, deep, sensitive, too intense for most rooms. And that's exactly why they've been pushed down. Because a sober, fully present, unfiltered version of you is too unpredictable to be controlled. And that right there is the threat. So here's a chilling question. How much of your identity is truly yours? And how much was poured into you, one drink at a time? Let's drop the masks, the stories, the excuses. It was never just a drink. It was never just a fun night. It was a ritual of forgetting, repeated so many times that we started calling it culture. But what if the real rebellion is not in refusing the drink, but in reclaiming the parts of you that were quietly taken with every glass? Because what alcohol steals isn't just clarity, it's ownership. Ownership of your words, your instincts, your energy, your timeline. And the moment you wake up to that, everything shifts. You don't go back to normal. You start asking better questions. You start listening to silence. You start remembering the parts of you that were never meant to be drowned. And then you realize you were never boring, never too much, never broken. You were just sedated. So now, the illusion cracks. You look at your favorite bar, the drink that used to save you, the person you became at 2 a.m., and you feel it. The weight of years spent performing a version of yourself that was never the full truth. But the truth, it's returning now, sober, loud, unapologetic, and it's asking you one thing. Will you keep sipping the lie, or will you finally taste what it means to be fully awake? Question for you. What was the first time you drank to escape something? And what would have happened if you just faced it instead? Drop it below. Someone's waiting to hear they're not alone.